Hi everyone. Today I figured I would talk about one important issue. It is important for epistemological as well as ontological reasons. It's the issue of social constructivism, or what we should mean when we talk about the social construction of reality. For this talk, I am inspired by a text written by French sociologist Bernard Lagarde called The Splendor and Poverty of a Metaphor, the Social Construction of Reality. So, what do people really mean when they say that something is socially, politically, or historically constructed? Are there some occurrences of the phrase that are inappropriate? Can we really say that scientific knowledge or scientific truth is socially constructed? Then, does that mean that scientific truths aren't reliable and that they don't differ from religion or opinion? So, first of all, the idea that reality is socially constructed has been of immense help to show that many things, especially unpleasant things like inequality, power, or social hierarchies, are not natural or eternal or universal, or that they always come in the same form. Things are socially constructed, they have historical, social, cultural, and political origins, and they could be different because they used to be different and they are different in other places. They are objects of historical transformations. For example, men and women are unequal in society and they behave in different ways, not because they have natural or biological differences, but because of the social organization and power relations. The social problem of school inequality is also the product of a particular way of thinking about an issue and defining a situation as problematic. One of the great books criticizing social constructivism, while also recognizing its advantages, is The Social Construction of What? By Jan Hacking. Bernard Lair, in his text, shows that constructivism can be problematic when it leads to relativism, scientific denialism, the idea that the pursuit of objectivity is impossible, and that there is nothing like an objective reality. He speaks of five platitudes that are linked to social constructivism. The first platitude is the idea that social construction is just like symbolic and subjective construction, so it's just symbols, beliefs, representations, discourses. Actually, a social construction is very material and real. It is inscribed in institutions, organizations, very strong ways of thinking and behaving. To say that something is socially constructed does not mean that it is easy to destroy or to deconstruct. The fact that a thing is socially constructed does not mean that it doesn't really exist. For example, social inequalities at school are a social construct, but also a quantifiable scientific fact, and they have important consequences. You can't just say that they are socially constructed and so it's unimportant and just pretend that the social hierarchy doesn't matter. Second platitude, the idea that sociology should just study folk theories and common sense representations. This is a problem because it reduces the object of science to the representations, and the risk is to identify reality to social representations of it. Is the sociologist's job just to show that a notion or a representation is socially constructed? Is the job done then? I don't think so. Even if there are socially constructed ways of thinking and talking about problems, the problems do exist. Inequalities do exist. People are, in fact, killed when they drive too fast. So, a realist point of view is also necessary. And when you have successfully showed that something is a social construct, your job is not over, it has only just begun. The next step is to actually explain a social phenomenon, something that has a material, institutional, and practical dimension. The third platitude is that social constructs are just ongoing, continuous, intersubjective creations. Everything is always at play, the cards are always redistributed, the stakes are constantly redefined. It is in every interaction that, for example, social hierarchies and power relations are built. Tomorrow, a new interaction might totally disrupt this state of things. I disagree with that romantic view of social reality. Actually, social reality is a lot more solid, stable, and persistent. The utopian vision that everything is possible is problematic because it forgets about social and political structures that are above the level of interpersonal interactions. For example, a teacher and a student are unequal in the interaction, not just because of the interaction, but because there exists a structure that defines the roles of being a teacher and being a student. The fourth platitude is the idea that what has been constructed by history can easily be destroyed and rebuilt differently. That is what happens when we believe that social constructs are just about symbols, discourses, and meanings. In reality, it is extremely difficult to destroy what has been slowly building for centuries. Think of capitalism, for instance. Being sociologically realistic is important. Last, but certainly not least, a fifth platitude is that science is just another social construct like everything else. Some people actually think that science is just a symbolic and discursive process. It's just rhetoric. It's just like poetry, religion, and ideology. It's just like opinion. Except it's not. Science is more reflexive, methodical, logically articulated, and evidence based than any other discursive construct. So, anyway, those were just remarks that Bernard Layer, and I agree with him, thinks one should keep in mind when using the metaphorical phrase the social construction of reality, social construct, etc., whether for scientific or political reasons. Very often, the intentions are good, showing that a social fact, problem, activity, organization, or an institution is not natural, but the product of historical, material, and symbolic activities. But there are abusive ways of using that expression, the social construction of reality, and always keep in mind that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Thank you.